Hello, Instagram. Thanks for being here. Hi. Hi. I'm so glad you're here. So glad you're watching this. Today, we are going to talk about how to find your voice as a writer with courage and tenacity. And those are two keywords that are so important, leaning into finding your voice. So, I have just a few notes here, different steps you can take, and things to remember as you're working to find your own voice, because a lot of us we struggle sometimes really finding who it is that we are. And we talked about this a little bit yesterday. I think about when we talked about safe spaces. And my goal is to create a safe space for you to find who you are. And so we talked about safe spaces yesterday, but today, the reason safe spaces are so important is because a lot of times we need that safe space to be able to find our voice as a writer. And it's so critical for just being able to explore the creativity and all of the different things that we have to offer, all the things we want to explore in our writing, the types of novels we write, the types of stories we write, the things that we actually want to say, because story is so powerful for creating and distributing. There's a better word there, not coming to mind right now, for distributing truth. And displaying truth in a way that people can understand uniquely through story that maybe they're not going to understand or not understand as fully if you were just teaching them and telling them what's going on. A lot of times, story can be extremely effective for communicating the ways that that we need to grow as people and as a society and as a world and humanity and all of that. So there are a lot of different ways to think about this. So when you think about finding your voice as a writer, now I'm not talking about, in this case, the technical, like, voice of your writing voice, like how you come across on the page when you're writing. What we're going to talk about today actually does inform that, but I'm not going to talk about that specifically because that's, and some of these things will work for that. But right now, I'm talking about more on like a macro level and how you see your author brand, how you see yourself as an author, the stories and the things that you're passionate about, the things that you want to come across on the page. So I'm going to give you an example. For me, I've discovered over the course of several years, I've kind of been in this whole transformative journey for the last few years, as I'm sure a lot of us have, because it's kind of the whole adversity kind of polishes us and and gives us that friction that we need to become a polished diamond, or whatever the saying is. So, but I've recently discovered, not so recently, a few years ago, discovered that consent is a super important topic for me, and not only in like sexual situations. I'm not just talking about that, although that is very, very important. But I'm talking about consent in marketing, consent in how you show up in the world. And a lot of times there are systems out there in place designed to take away your autonomy and your control. And this is like so on point for what is going on in the world right now. My goodness. I did not even anticipate talking about this in this format. But as you know, I'm in the US, or you may not know, but I am. And a Supreme Court document was leaked last night about abortion rights. And again, I don't know, I'm not really into law or anything like that, so I don't know a lot of the details. But they made a preliminary draft opinion that was leaked about overturning a decades old and like 50 years landmark case regarding women's rights and abortion. And so I don't know all the details. I don't know. I do know that it's not like the final thing. So this could change in the future. And I sincerely hope it does, that it does not get overturned. But that has to do a lot with consent. And so we're going to talk about that tomorrow, not that case, because again, not a person that has anything to do with that. But I find it really important to consider how consent plays into all of our like everyday life. So if you think about consent in marketing, so a lot of times you know instinctively when you come up with somebody that they're selling to you and it feels kind of icky and it feels like you don't want to be there. And so I feel like consent and basically asking someone permission to share what you have to offer with them before you share it, before you force it on them. And that's where we get the sleazy sales, and we don't want that. So tomorrow we're going to talk about consent and marketing and how it works for me and how I want to use it to create a safe space for you, but also how you can use it as you're marketing your books as well. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow. Today, we are going to talk about different ways to find your voice as a writer. Again, not your writing voice, not what actually comes across on the page, but basically how you want to present your author branch to the world. So let's go through these steps and then we'll wrap up real quick. So number one is to be honest with yourself. And sometimes this can be really, really difficult. It seems like there's nobody inside my head. I can totally be honest, like fine. And you might be honest about a few things, but there might be things that you have just convinced yourself of that may not be true and may not be helpful, and those aren't mutually exclusive. But so this all comes down to authenticity and figuring out how to break through those layers of other expectations and things in the past, and really connecting with what you truly want, who you truly are, and the voice and what you want to share with the world. Number two is to be honest with others. So this comes into vulnerability. Now, vulnerability, we're going to talk about later in the week, and it's important to not be too vulnerable too quickly. There is a balance here, and we don't all know it. We don't all have the same line. So this is where knowing yourself comes in really helpful, and knowing where those lines are for you and what you feel comfortable sharing, and just kind of feeling that out. And it's going to be done imperfectly, but that's just how it works. Number three is to show up as consistently as possible for you. Now, I didn't want to say show up consistently. Yes, but consistency is different for everyone. If you've heard the tomb spoonie, where it has to do with someone with a chronic disease, and a lot of times, and the spoons are representative kind of your energy or the effort that you're able to put in. And so if you see something like, I've heard the term spoonie writers before, if you have a chronic disease that challenges your energy and the output you can create, you tend to, the concept is that you have maybe less spoons than the average person. And you wake up one day and you're feeling really good, so you have a little bit more spoons to contribute. And some days you don't feel great and you have less. And then if you were to put in more effort, then you might use up more spoons than you need to. You might have to borrow from another day or something. So that's the idea, is that we all have these spoons. We all have these reserves of energy. And so we have to be able to use them in a smart way. So if you have a lot of spoons that day, whether you have a chronic disease or not, you are able to do a lot and post a lot on social media, do a lot of writing, all of that. If you have a day with less energy, you might not be able to expend all of that effort. And that's fine. The idea is to show up as consistently as possible for you, where you're at, what you want to do, how to find out what you want to accomplish, and marry that with the effort that you're able to put in now, so that you come to a consistent place that's good for you and it feels good. And that all comes down to, like, what is aligned for you, what feels good, what is possible to maintain without burning out. This also is showing up consistently in your writing. This could mean every single day. This could mean once a week. This could mean once a month. It could be whatever it is. It could be, for me, it's actually sometimes I have like writing bursts. And so like for a month, I'm writing all the time, and then I back off and don't really write a lot. And then, so it kind of fluctuates. That's okay. That's just, for me, it's my keeping writing. I need to be a little bit quicker getting back into writing. And so that's something I'm working on. But I've identified that if I don't write consistently, and for me, that could mean taking a month off and then getting back to it. But if I don't get back on that schedule, I start to feel it in my soul, and it does not feel great. So anyway, number 4 is to be bold and courageous, which means to try new things. So you want to be able to try things that maybe are outside of your comfort zone. Doesn't always feel great, but it actually feels great when you do it, because then you've accomplished new things, you've tried new things, and those things can help you. That's where that courage comes in. It's able to try things that will ultimately serve you in the future and will stretch you, because that's the only way you're going to be able to find the things that you want to accomplish. Number 5 is push through when it gets hard. This is the tenacity piece. It is really easy to give up, and that's okay to feel that way. It's okay to give up temporarily. It's okay to say this is a really bad day. I am watching a movie and calling it a night, and that's fine. You have to acknowledge those feelings. But then once you do, keep going. Don't give up. Push through. And then number 6 is to give yourself grace. Whenever you feel like you've messed up or you feel like a failure or whatever, those are all feelings and those will pass. The important thing is just get back on the horse, however terrible that sounds. I don't really like that analogy, but anyway, keep going. Just keep trying. Keep, giving yourself grace, allowing yourself to be human, because that's how it works. We're all human. We all we all have things that we struggle with. We all we all want to be perfect, and we all want to not have anyone hate us and all of these things. But the reality is that some people might not understand us. Some people might not like our books. Some people might not connect with who we are, but that's okay, because the more that we show up authentically on social media and in our books and with our writing and the types of stories we write and in our email newsletters and anywhere online, our website, the more we show up authentically, the more we can attract the people that are meant to be with us in our sphere, our readers, our followers, the people that connect with us. And so it's really important that if we do these things, being honest and being vulnerable and showing up, doing the work, we can actually attract the right people to us. And that's ultimately how we find our voice, by keep trying, keep doing things, do it imperfectly, do it messy, but keep doing it. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching. I will be back hopefully tomorrow. We're going to talk about consent and marketing and how you can apply it to yours, what it means, and why it's so important, because it really, really is. This is something I feel super strongly about, so I'm excited to talk about it tomorrow. All right. I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.